If you're thinking about learning a language for the first time, or if you've tried to learn a language a bunch of times, probably thinking about which of the 5 most popular language apps is best. You've probably gone through Duolingo, maybe Pimsleur, Babbel, Busuu, Rosetta Stone. There's a whole giant list of them. If you're confused by that giant list and you've tried a few of them, you're probably stuck in your language learning. Now, before you think that there's something wrong with you, that you can't use these language apps, let me get one thing straight. None of these apps were made for you, and that's the problem. Successful language learning isn't about finding the best app. Successful language learning is about finding which app works for your brain. And that is why I created my free language app search, link below in the description, but I'll talk about that more later on. Based on the sheer number of language apps available in the industry and also in my language app search, there is a lot of noise to sift through. Fortunately for you, if there are language apps available on that search, it means that I have personally tested them. And that is why in this video, I'm not going to rank these language apps because I feel like that's kind of silly. Because as a language learner, you are an individual person and there's no way that I could rank language apps for you, only for myself, and that doesn't really help you. So instead, in this video, I'm going to share with you what these apps do well, what these apps don't do well, and how to use this information to actually benefit your language learning and not just keep you stuck in the same cycle. So let's back up a little bit and talk about what the big problem is here. This is a problem that I see with every language learner I ever talk to every single day, because unless you are like a fancy polyglot who learned 20 different languages on your own and you have your own language app that you use and that you sell to people, you're probably just as stuck as I used to be. So the problem is that each of the language apps, all of the apps I'm mentioning in this video and all the other ones I'm not mentioning in this video, they all work, but they only work for the right person with the right goals in the right phase of life. And you can tell this is true because they each make the same promises. They may word it a little bit differently, but they all make the same promises. They all promise to teach you a language, but they don't say what exactly that means. Do they teach you to have conversations? Or do they teach you to stay consistent? Or do they teach you vocabulary? Or do they teach you how to improve your grammar? Do they teach you to understand the spoken language? No, they don't say that. So instead of being able to look for the information that will actually benefit you in your language learning, most people either go based off of whatever ad they most recently saw or based off of what a friend told them they should try. And that especially hurts when you have your best friend who told you to use a certain textbook or a certain course and it doesn't work for you, and you assume that there's something wrong with you because look at your best friend who was very successful and they're very smart, and so obviously there's something wrong with you, right? That is not true, and to prove that to you, I'm going to talk about the 5 most popular language apps, what they do well and what they don't do well, so you can start to see what will and won't work for you based on your own language learning journey and needs. Let's start with Duolingo because I bet you've probably used it before. Now, Duolingo is really excellent at keeping you consistent every single day. It's really good at keeping you motivated and excited to learn a language. Could even be argued that Duolingo is good at teaching you the patterns of a language. But unfortunately, in my professional opinion, Duolingo is bad at everything else. So when it comes to having conversations, Duolingo is really bad. When it comes to building past a foundation and getting you to try other things and learn other things, Duolingo sucks. When it comes to learning how to be a successful language learner, and by that I mean learning how to branch out into new things or to take breaks when necessary or how to build your own consistency and your own motivation, that is not Duolingo. Duolingo is terrible. 9 times out of 10, when it comes to learning a language, Duolingo is terrible. It's really great for a streak, really great for short-term motivation that gives you a sense of accomplishment. It's good for pretty much nothing else. The second most popular language app is Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is really excellent at getting you using the language, speaking, understanding, putting it together really quickly. It's also really good at getting you past the phase where you are hearing the language, translating it in your head, and then speaking it out, and like all that whole horrible cycle that a lot of language learners get stuck in, where they're too busy translating to have an actual conversation. Rosetta Stone just skips right past that, which is excellent. However, Rosetta Stone can be really slow. This can be really great, or it might be really boring. It just depends on who you are and what your experiences are. It also doesn't go past beginner tourist stuff. So if you want to have more like real life conversations, you're going to have to go past Rosetta Stone to get there. And if you're already at a beginner/intermediate level of the language, Rosetta Stone is going to be too beginner for you. Similar to Rosetta Stone is Pimsleur. Pimsleur is really good at listening comprehension and just getting that basic repetition in, but it's boring. Pimsleur is so boring. If you need to stay motivated and engaged, Pimsleur is going to be a no-go for you. Pimsleur can be very dry and slow and mind-numbingly boring, and so can Babbel, which is another really popular language app. Babbel is really excellent for getting you a structured education, so if you're the kind of person that needs to be told exactly what to do every step of the way, Babbel is really good at that. I consider Babbel to be like a textbook, but it's online, which means it can be really beneficial to those who need that structure and need the grammar and the speaking and all of that put together. But it can be really dry and it can be really boring. And similar to Babbel is the last one, which is Busuu. Busuu is really excellent because there is an entire community of language learners who help each other and correct each other and build off of their own language learning abilities to help you. But you have to use it. Busuu gives you the ability to choose which skills you're using for each individual lesson, which is really excellent, but that means it's up to you to make sure that you are building the skills that you actually need. So if you want to speak Spanish and you're going through Spanish Busuu, but you're afraid of speaking, and so every time you have the opportunity to speak, you say, no, I'll try it later. You're never going to learn to speak. So now, that being said, if you have tried any one of these language apps and you have been really disappointed and felt like there's something missing and that something missing must be you, you're not the problem. You're not what's missing. In fact, the problem is that the things that you are using do not benefit you personally. You are not the problem. You are the solution. All of the language apps that I've listed in this video, and any language app, is a cookie cutter solution. You are not a cookie cutter human. Language learning is a personal journey. In order to be successful in your language learning, you have personal needs. And unfortunately, it can be really hard to piece together what you need from different language apps, especially when it's not really abundantly clear what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you need to solve this problem. So of course, when you're trying different apps and none of them really seem to fit into your needs for your language learning, and it feels like there's something missing and these things that should work are not working for you, it's going to feel really frustrating. I don't blame you. Spend all this time doing what you're supposed to do, and you're doing the thing that works for all these other people, but it doesn't work for you. So it really feels like you're the thing that's wrong, but you can never be the thing that's wrong because you're you. So all that being said, what you need to be doing instead is stop trying to make yourself fit into all these different language apps and strategies. We're going to reverse engineer it. And instead of trying to force yourself to fit into these apps, you need to find the apps that fit into you and your language learning. Because the reason why these language apps are not working for you is because they're not fitting your goals, your learning style, your personality, your interests, your time. There are any number of things that could not be fitting. And fortunately for you, we can learn how to fit language apps and fit language learning into your personality, not the other way around. So, how do we do that? How do we get started? I'm so glad you asked. Instead of searching all of the internet and all of YouTube for the best language app, instead, what I need you to do is I need you to go into the description of this video or the first comment under this video and use my free language app search tool. You'll find on the top of the page, there's a form for you to fill out. Very simple because we're keeping it very simple. What you do is you plug in your target language, your level, and your main goal for right now. Press submit and it'll pre-populate with all the different language apps that can get you started. Then, once you're there, you can go through all the different language apps and look at all the screen recordings of me using those apps. And you can read the summary and the whole, each of those icons is a blog post where I explain to you what it does well, what it doesn't do well, what kind of person can most benefit from these language apps, what kind of person should look elsewhere. Basically, I will show you the language learning app that makes sense to you based on your values, your needs, your goals, your personality. I will never make a recommendation for a language app based off of what I like because I know that my language learning interests and my goals and my problems are not relevant to your needs. I will always recommend apps based on what you need, and my language app search is the first step to that. The thing to understand about all the resources available to learn a language is that all of these apps, all of these courses can be excellent, but only when you know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to keep yourself in this cycle of trying all these different language apps and just being frustrated. Let's throw that cycle out, get rid of that, and instead focus on what you need so you can actually make real progress in your language learning. Because remember, you are not a bad language learner. You are not the problem. Problem is the tools. You are missing the right tools. It's like trying to hammer a nail into plywood, but you're not using a hammer, you're using a screwdriver. Like, you can maybe force it, but it's not going to be pretty. So if you want to start getting your language learning on track, start at the link below in the description and in the pinned comment for my language app search to get started. What you need is your target language, your current level, and your primary goal. And it's up to you to play around with different apps until you find something that feels good for you and your goals. And of course, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video all about how to learn languages. Bye.